Solo Genocide Cursed Mode Run. I've finally done it. It's ready. It's here. For anyone that doesn't know what a Solo Genocide Run is, I made up this category just for fun. Basically, go into the game as only the main character Sam and try to take on absolutely everything. Kill everyone, be as mean-spirited as you can. Just massacre everything in the game. When I initially undertook this challenge back on the release of the game, it was a much simpler time. There was only a few endings that you could really choose from. I think there was like 17 bosses, and there was far few mechanics. Back then, the biggest challenge in the game was the Exalted 4 and probably like the Furnace. Needless to say, times have changed. The difficulty of this challenge has flown through the roof with Cursed Mode. Not only is there more than 60 bosses now, there's also a handful of additional endings with their own boss fight gauntlets. There's super bosses, there's all kinds of crazy shit. Along with that, player power has also scaled through the roof. For instance, here's a fight against the Furnace on Cursed Mode. Sam, by himself, with Glitch Rage and rocking the Cattle Prod, just kills this guy in 2 turns. Like, this is just a different game. So to wrap my head around how a challenge like this would even work in Cursed Mode, I had to start off by sending myself some ground rules. First of all, Sam is a complete sadistic psycho in this timeline. His job is to sow as much chaos and mayhem as possible, which means killing nice people and being a general jerk. Number 2, I exploit the living hell out of every game mechanic I can possibly squeeze for value in this run. There are hundreds of enemies in the game now, and I needed every benefit, every boon that I could possibly get in order to make sure that they were no longer living. And number 3, there are multiple ending paths involved in this run, but I don't consider any of the endings attached to those sections to be canon. Sam is in it for the fights, not the outcome. So even though some of the outcomes are nice, this Sam doesn't give a shit. Let's say he reverses time or something to continue his blood rage. I should also mention that this run was completed on patch 2.01, so if Frank drops another update in like the next week or so with some more shit in it, I didn't know about that. So yeah, that's the end of the housekeeping. Let's get into it. Okay, so let's talk some strategy. The general layout for this run gets pretty damn muddled because there's so much back and forth going to different areas, unlocking new things, killing stuff, backtracking, wiping everything, you know, this kind of jazz. So instead, I've broken it down into the key points where we gain access to a large power spike, either through additional skills, gear, or status effects, things like this. Things that make us more formidable so we can take on greater threats. So here's the key notes for our general progression. First of all, we need to escape the 3rd floor and access the ground floor. Once we get access to the ground floor, we have access to Mutt's shop, which is a considerable power spike. A lot of the stuff that Mutt sells are pretty much mandatory, especially the training belt. Our next step is to get down to the basement and unlock the sewer. This will include fighting Antoine and his brood, which is no joke. We need to be considerably geared and prepared to take on that fight solo, because Antoine is a massive jump in difficulty. The next power spike we receive comes from unlocking Glitch World and getting some glitch status effects. This is mandatory for a lot of these late game fights. Once we have our glitch status effects and the gear that we need, we can start the massacre in earnest. Unfortunately, unlocking Glitch World includes collecting all of the planet discs needed to gain access to the unlabeled cartridge, including the one that is hidden behind Clyde and his kids. That is going to be quite tricky. Once we've cleared these 3 obstacles, we should have the gear, skills, weapons, and power-ups required to start taking out a lot of these bosses and fulfilling the requirements of the 3 endings that we're going to pursue: Unity, Mask, and True Final. Now that we have our game plan laid out, let's jump back into the run and see how our little psycho is faring. Our biggest asset early game is to learn Jump Attack from the game's Super Jump Lad straight away. Jump Attack is very powerful, especially against this eyeball neighbor who drops the key to unlock the 3rd floor. As long as you can ensure you have a piercing weapon like the fork you pick up next door, you can take care of him pretty damn quick. Our next issue is dealing with Lee on floor 2, as she will chase you as soon as you pick up Lyle's apartment key. The best strategy for dealing with Lee on cursed mode is to pick up the pool cue and gamble on the impale skill, instant killing her. I believe this only has an 18% chance of working, so this is our first exploit. We're going to save scum until we kill Lee. The trusty pool cue, or the funny stick as Schlog refers to it, is a ridiculously powerful weapon in a lot of fights in this game. Impale, for some reason, has a chance to instantly kill some enemies that it probably shouldn't, like the Grinning Beast here. It comes up in this run quite a bit. By the way, the pool cue isn't the only piercing weapon that comes with Impale, it's just the one that you have the earliest access to, so yay. I would love to say that I got the first try Impale on this one, but I actually streamed this part of the run, so shit, you can double check my homework here. I think this is about the 4th try. Anyway, got it done. With Lee dealt with, there isn't many combat encounters we actually have to participate in until we get down to the rat baby's room, so we talk to Lyle, we tell him to screw off, we're not giving him a kiss this time, screw him, give me that photo paper you creepy douche, I'll be back later. Moving right along, we're down in the rat baby's apartment and we're killing his parents. I assume these two are his parents. They're in his bedroom. That makes sense to me. So anyway, get out of here. As you might imagine, Psycho Sam is not fit to be a parent, nor should he be in charge of children. So unfortunately, this one gets exchanged for a planet disc. We're not sacrificing an arm this run. We need both of those arms if we're going to murder God. Here's our first big spike in power coming, unlocking the ground floor and checking out what Mutt has in its inventory. Mutt is the little gooby guy that runs the fish and chip shop down here, but it also doubles as a shop that sells like chainsaws and crossbows and stuff. Ideally, what we want to collect is the training belt, but it isn't goddamn here. Instead, we have the lockpicks and the crossbow. The training belt is the staple of nearly all solo challenge runs because it doubles your HP in exchange for halving your stamina. HP matters a hell of a lot more than stamina in solo runs. Survivability is the biggest problem. This is particularly true for the early game because we don't have access to certain gear like the Indigo mask yet. We get that from the sewer, but until we can get to the sewer, we need something that's going to increase our max health, otherwise when we fight Antoine to get access to the sewer, he's going to fly kick us in the face for like 200 damage on round 1 and kill us outright. For the time being, we'll purchase the crossbow and a few of the special crossbow bolts because they are pretty damn busted early on in the game. We also pick up the lockpicks because why not? Due to the training belt not rocking up at Mutt's shop this early on, we have to resort to our first heartless strategy of the run, which is going and killing Jean, the lovely neighbor on floor 2 who wants you to collect her washing. Jean's whole deal is that she asks you to go down to the laundromat to pick up her laundry, and then while she's gone, she explodes into this giant serpentine Hydra monster and doesn't have control over all of the Hydra heads. She's all desperate, oh help, you need to stop them, they're killing people, but instead we get out the funny stick and we end her. The instant kill chance from the impale skill of the funny stick does still work on Jean's Hydra body, so we get really lucky and we take it out with one shot. Putting Jean out of her misery this way is very cruel, but Jean does have some really cool stuff, so just like in our first run, we rob her blind. We're here for the motorcycle helmet, the leather jacket, and her cool sneakers. It is a little ironic that Jean asks for your help to go collect her clothes, but we end up murdering her and then wearing her clothes. Classic psychopath behavior. Next on the victim list is Papineau. He's down in the men's room, so we may as well get rid of him while we have the chance. Unfortunately, Pap doesn't drop any of his gear because that sash would look good on me. Jumping back to the apartment, we're passing some time here learning some game skills because we do need a couple of the door encounters in order to give us another spike in power. The one we're really looking for is the game trader. This guy is important because he basically sells you skills with extra steps. You still have to finish the games and whatever to get the skills, but a lot of the ones he sells, besides Massacre Princess being a part of the true final ending requirements, are very strong. Octocook and Super Jump Lad 3 contain two of the strongest skills in the game, Numbness and Octostrike. Octostrike allows Sam to attack 8 times in the same turn. It has reduced damage, but it is still very powerful. Octostrike will effectively replace our jump attack skill. Numbness is a skill that again is a complete mandatory requirement for solo runs. It allows Sam to ignore most status effects for 10 turns straight. Without numbness, half of the fights in this game aren't possible solo. You will get stun locked to death. Our weeb friend in the basement, Antoine, loves to do this. It's his MO. He'll paralyze you, he'll acid drench you, he'll set you on fire, he'll kick the shit out of you. You need numbness running before you go into that fight. Now that we're wearing Gene's cool motorcycle gear, I feel confident enough to take on these hand dudes on the ground floor. What we really need from this bunch of weirdos is their cassette tapes. The cassette tapes can be traded with the guy in Mutt's shop who looks like a hand man. His name is Emmanuel and he will trade you some body armor called the Coat of Arms for 6 of these cassette tapes. The Coat of Arms will become another staple piece of gear for this run, but it does have conditions. What it does is it decreases all of your stats across the board in exchange for giving Sam a 50% chance to have a second action during his turn. Multiple actions is very powerful. You can attack and defend, you can attack and heal, you can attack twice. You need that kind of DPS to drill down some of these harder boss fights. The problem with the Coat of Arms is that the decrease in stats and almost no defense at this point in the game will get you one shot, so we can't use it yet. We have to build up our foundation in order to run it. Moving right along, we have to make our way through the landlord's apartment to pick up the basement key. Luckily, on our first pass through this place, we don't really have to fight anything and we don't have to advance the landlord to his final stage where he turns into the trench digger boss. So we get to keep some money in our pocket at least and just rush through and grab the key. With the basement key in our possession, we're at the stage now where we can go and fight Antoine, but the training belt has not rocked up in Mutt's shop. It's about day 4, and I'm getting a little bit desperate. I haven't explained this up to this point, but this run is on a timer, at least for the first 6 days. In order to get the mask ending, you need to make your way down to the car park, which is past the sewers in the basement, to collect one of these fake offering items. It's a whole ordeal, but all you need to know for now is that I need to get down past Antoine within the first 6 days. Since it's looking unlikely that Mutt will come through with the goods and deliver me that training belt before the timer runs out, I have to fall back on my next heartless strategy. Turning Nestor into a worm monster and getting him to eat Eugene. I feel like I explain this in nearly every run that I do because I always abuse this. But basically, the lady in the pipe, Rafter, is like all lovey-dovey for this guy named Nestor who's in the toilets on the ground floor. You lie to him and say, you should go on a date with Rafter, she's cool. And she basically invades his mind. As a worm, she crawls through his eye, and just it's like the worst possible outcome you could wish upon someone. He explodes into worms, and it's just this whole thing. One of the big benefits, though, is then when Nestor's head rips off, it runs off to the shopkeeper, Eugene, on the 2nd floor, and it eats his head, and he becomes this weird amalgamation of shit. He's Nestor Eugene, he's both the people combined now. Good thing about this is that he's easy to kill. And once he's dead, you can rob the shop and also Eugene's apartment, which is behind the shop. You can do this normally, but Eugene is pretty damn capable. He's got a gun and he has all of the items in the shop. He'll just start firebombing you and gassing you out. It's not worth it. So yeah, it's dickhead tactics again. Let's go trick Nestor into a fate worse than death and then murder all 3 of the people involved in this love triangle. Besides stealing everything in the shop, which is very nice, the other major benefit of murdering Eugene is that he has this safe in the hidden compartment at the back of his apartment that has the ruby ring in it, or at least a copy of the ruby ring. Ruby ring increases your health by 100 points. Since we already nicked the patchwork set out of the taxidermy apartment earlier, this has got our max HP to 352. Not great to be honest, but enough to stand a chance against Antoine without the training belt. Looks like I spoke too soon because Antoine still kicks our head in. The additional HP from the patchwork set and the ruby ring is working towards our benefit, but Antoine just deals out the DPS too quickly. He piles on the damage very fast in the beginning of this fight. Despite the obvious drawbacks, it's time to go secure the coat of arms and try to get him with the double turns. The biggest drawback to running the coat of arms is that it makes every fight so RNG heavy. Sometimes you'll get an excellent run, 2 or 3 double turns in a row, and you'll really demolish enemies. Otherwise, you don't get that double turn and you have no defense and things just annihilate you. Let's jump into the stream and see how this one played out. Pray for double turns. Nope. Shit. Bad start. 3 damage. Okay. I don't know what that was about. We're in a very good spot right now. Okay. Double turns, please. Oh, okay. That sucks, but it's okay. Burn, both of you burn. Ooh, alright. The one on the left is the bigger problem anyway. No stun again. Alright, here we go. Now we're even. Alright. I need double turns here pretty hard. I might have to do the tonic first, just in case. We fucking did it! Supernova super sucks ass. Now that we have access to the sewers, our first priority is to sprint past the boiler beast and quickly grab the indigo mask. You can phase through this guy as he spawns. Make sure you do it quick though, because once he gets to that corner, his hitbox is going to activate and it's a real problem. Burn on, burn on, burn on! Run! Now that we've snagged the indigo mask, which is still completely busted in this update, but I'll cycle back around to that. It's time to jump into the big hole in the car park and talk to Karan. Karan, Sharan, whatever he's called, is this gigantic worm that's in the darkness down here. You have to give him the rose, so he'll go give it to his boyfriend or something. I don't know, wasn't listening. But he'll leave a day earlier than the cave-in occurs. And that's when you have the opportunity to grab the fake offering down here for the mask ending. We need to wait a day for him to go away, so we'll cycle back to this one tomorrow. It's time to play the elevator game with this little wormy boy. Luckily for us, Schlog's funny stick works on this guy too. No. Man, the value of Impale can't be understated. That guy has 1500 health. That's usually a pretty long, dragged out fight where he drops the elevator on you and all kinds of shit, but a little bit of funny stick, a little bit of pool cue and some fuck you really gets it done. After sleeping through the night in the apartment, we're now awaiting the blackout, which always occurs the day after you turn on the elevator. Since we have some breathing room, let's cycle back to the indigo mask we picked up in the sewer and check out why it's so ridiculous. This piece of headgear is on the top of the priority list to get nerfed into oblivion in the next patch, but luckily while I did this run, it was still in its broken state. While you're wearing this mask, instead of dying when you reach 0 HP, the mask breaks open and restores your health, a random amount. Between like 45% and 100%. It's pretty nuts and it happens every battle. We are going to use this mask to exploit the hell out of certain mechanics, but for the time being you can see it as a safety net against one-shot attacks and other run-ending situations. Progressing through the blackout, we have to fight Ulm here, who's not really a difficult encounter, we just kind of smash him. The whole deal with the blackout is that you can't really progress the game or do anything until you go and take out the electrophage. He's this guy munching on this fuse box at the back of the car park. This whole zone he's in is like electricity themed, and all the boys in this place like to paralyze, which is really annoying. The electrophage himself is a pretty difficult encounter because if he manages to get a hold of you, he has one attack that hits you for like 300 damage. Burning and bleeding this guy is a pretty effective way to start drilling down his health, so this fight doesn't drag out too long. Numbness is also mandatory here because this guy paralyzes on nearly every turn. You don't want to get paralyzed. Start with acid. Follow up with some bleed. Ow. Awesome. Give him a little bit of fire. Ooh, we get another chance. Hit him with an explosive. That one is annoying. Oh, that was insane. He's gonna die next turn. That one sucks. 215, boy. Alright, sick. Not too bad, but a big waste of the crossbow on a guy as stupid as Electrophage. With the blackout dealt with, we can now continue down into the hole that Karan has left and get this mask offering sorted. One of the big challenges about the mask ending is having to deal with these shade enemies that protect each one of the odd offerings. The shades are like these shadow guys that you can kind of not really see until you attack them, and it like highlights their outline of their character model. They're very much darkness themed. Ooh, you don't know what they are. Bleh. The major challenge with these guys is that they just dump status effects onto you. A lot of them have this ability called Lick, which basically gives you every status effect in the game. The major weakness is fire, just like all of the shadowy shade guys, so we're going to lean on the flamethrower pretty hard on this one. Ooh, good shit. Start to bleed. As soon as the mask breaks, I take 50% more damage anyway, which is pretty shitty. Shouldn't really deal with that for the majority of the fight. That'll be problematic. Give me double turns, please. Holy shit, this is bad RNG. Shit. Oh, you a-ho. Now I get double turns. Heal again. This is not ideal. Ooh. Oh, sick. Never mind. Never mind. One odd offering down, only 3 to go. One of the major obstacles that complicated my first genocide run was loneliness. This is a debuff that comes into play when you don't have any team members and you drop your social stat too low. There are some methods to combat this early game by looking at social media on your computer and talking to your plant, but eventually the loneliness stat overtakes how much you can generate social, so you have to play a card game with these guys down in the sewer. For the meantime, while these guys benefit me, they get to stay alive. I should also mention that hitchhiking roaches have infested the apartment, but in order to start a war with them, I've been eating every roach that I come across. While we were chilling in the apartment, one of our neighbors dropped in to visit, so let's repay the favor. Who is it? Just the friendly neighbor upstairs come to steal all your stuff and murder you. I thought you would. Oh, there she goes. So what happens if I run into Sophie now? Oh, she had a knife. I knew it. So after that obvious case of self-defense, it was about time to start terrorizing some of the residents of Floor 2, starting with Frederick and his boys. Sorry, that's my water bottle. Hehehe. Carving through the fake threads was a relatively simple affair. The sewage blade makes these guys total pushovers. If you're wondering which deal I made with the threads, I got the cash from the Godhead thread and then I cut his face off. We're only here to steal the painting for the true final ending and take down the Face Stealer thread, so we don't have to linger too long. Face Stealer can be a pretty challenging boss at the beginning of the game, but not at the moment. Yeah, this boss theme is sick, man. It's so cool. Yeah, let's give him a painful stab. The old hack and slash. Break the mask, just in time for me to attack. No, never mind. Bye. Thanks for the torn off face. I don't know, I'll eat it or something. Next on the chopping block was the Rat King. Oh, and if you're wondering what happened to Ernest, I honestly forgot about him. I was too heavily focused on getting down to the basement and beating Antoine, and I just let him die. So, that sucks. Missed opportunity. There we go. I had almost forgotten about the Stargazer apartment, so on the way to Mutt's shop, we decided to take him out. Updated version of the companion guide. I have Techno. I will do that, yeah. Yeah, how come he was only losing 1 health? Like, come on. Ah. Yes. Thank God. Alright. Nice. Mutt finally came through with the training belt. Day 9, I think. With a huge leap in health, we can start taking down some of these mid-game enemies until we need our next power spike from Glitch World. Come here, dickhead. Oh, I can't. Blah, blah, blah. Ha! Nice miss. Wow, what a loser. Is he straight away? He's having trouble. Pom pom pom. Oh, whatever. Hit him with the filth bomb, alright. Ow. That was a waste of time. Hey? Sylvian calls me an idiot. Claire says I'm stupid. Oh wow, Jean-Pierre looks cool. Fungus Gang. Oh. Okay, I guess 1. There's 2. I've noticed that Philippe's not using pain, which is pretty sweet, so that's good. Surely if you buy enough swords from him, he'll die of exhaustion from making them all. I think he's kind of summoning them out of his butthole, man. I don't know if he'll die from exhaustion. Oh, now he uses pain that he's alone. Whatever. It's a percentage-based move, and I have very little health, so suck it. 40. Pretty, This guy give me anything. Is this again? Go to the worm body and use Impale on it. Oh, no way. Does it work? That's awesome. Okay, Painful Stab does work. Ooh, that hurts. Meh. missed. Oh, okay. See ya. And they're dead. Thank you. See ya. His name sounds like a Pokemon. That is very true. Okay, so we're level 17, we got a boatload of money and gear, and our build is almost perfect, but the only thing that's going to push us into the late game boss territory and give us the ability to take them down is the glitch status effects, and to get to Glitch World, we have to get through Clyde and his kids. This fight is the last power level check before you start going into crazy super boss territory. There's only one reason for that, and it's Angel. See that little baby roach in the back left-hand corner with the dummy in its mouth? Yeah, well, she's the real challenge. Angel becomes the Angel of Death in the second phase of this fight. She flies around with a baseball bat and can flyball you for like 300 damage. Angel, Clyde, and the rest of the kids are like the Antoine battle in reverse. You get the group fight out of the way first, and then you go to the one-on-one with the boss. The difference between Angel and Antoine, though, is that Angel doesn't do the status effects, she just does like 4 times the damage. Oh my god, now I need to heal again. That sucks. Yeah, fuck. It's like 1 attack away. Alright. Flyball straight up. Yeah, great. Please let this be double turns. Yes. Okay. I only took 36 damage. Far out. Yeah, that's gonna hurt. Just gonna do it again. Nope. This time she didn't even break the mask, man. Like, what the fuck? Clearing out the rest of the denizens of this apartment isn't much of a challenge. If you can beat Angel, these guys are a pushover. Now that we've got the Uranus disc, we can make our way back to the ground floor, unlock this back room behind Jasper, and go and grab the unlabeled game cartridge to get to Glitch World. On our way back up to the 3rd floor, Schlog mentions that the funny stick can work on Kaylee. This is the NPC that runs the pick locking minigame thing. Usually solo fights against her are impossible, so Impale's the only way we can get rid of her. Yoink. There's some decent items in here, so it's a nice little pit stop. I had completely forgotten about Lyle and the photograph being developed for a second there, so we went and paid him a visit. Next up, Glitch World. Confusion, Stretchface, and Spine were still breathing in Edwin's apartment, so we just couldn't stand for that. Sam might be a serial murderer at this point, but he's not a filthy peeping Tom. Alright, sweet. Glitch World. Our final power spike. So, Glitch World has glitch status effects. Out of all these status effects, there's 2 that I get the most value out of. That being Glitched Rage and Glitched Bleed. So a bit of explanation about these things. Even though they're called status effects, they don't work like any other status effect in the game. They give you massive advantages and massive disadvantages. They essentially change the way your character plays so they can do one thing really good and everything else really shit. Glitched Bleed gives you a ton of defense, 50% more health, and makes you do double damage with guns, but you're slow as hell and you lose health every round. Glitched Rage makes you completely lose control of your character, but you have 50% higher attack, absolutely no defense, you take 50% more damage, but you attack 3 times in a turn. So I'm going to use these status effects like this. Anytime that I need to survive, use strategy, items, or my guns, I'm going to have Glitch Bleed on. Anytime that I'm going to just be an absolute lunatic and try to drill down an enemy before they can kill me, Glitched Rage. Alright, we've got all the tools in our toolkit, so I asked the cheese board what should we do first, and the answer was crossword tombs. Now getting down to the crossword tombs is a pain in the ass because you have to finish the crossword book to get the secret code for the safe in the end of it, but here's a little exploit. Run through all the crosswords, get the code, Reload your save. The code's always the same. You don't have to waste days doing this. Should clarify, the code is unique for every playthrough, but as soon as you learn the code, you don't have to do the crossword book. Just go down to the safe. The crossword tombs contain one of the optional super bosses and optional awful endings if you ever want to come down here. Auntie Wilhelmina, the Queen of Diction, resides down here, and she's a pretty tough boss fight. She has some really strange and unique status effects that she can inflict on you by using words of power. She can make you vomit up frogs, she can make you have a seizure. It's all around a pretty unpleasant experience. Normally when you come down here, you want to have Morton with you because he can actually dispel some of these status effects before they can take hold, but that's not going to be the case. Wilhelmina is weak to fire and we're currently rocking Glitch Bleed, so we've got the flamethrower out and we're going to give it a go. Liberty is close. Oh, I'm going to burn and bleed you. So good. Oh, I didn't get hurt by the curse of frogs. That's sick. Oh, Christ. Okay, but she stunned me first turn. And blinded me. Whatever. Okay, bleeding pretty good. Broken bones, fabulous. Impale, that sucks. Okay, I'm getting the seizures really early on because I'm doing so much goddamn damage. How long do the seizures last? Broken bones have recovered. Seizures have stopped. Got impaled. 1 health. Okay, she's probably gonna whack me anyway, but I will attempt to get that off. God damn it. Please give me double turns. Ooh, baby. Yeah, she hurts a lot more now. That's for sure. Oh! Yeah! The bleed pulled through. How many damages against burn or bleed? Yeah. God damn. Do we get the word of power now? No. The word of power, if you speak it, makes all your skin and organs fly out. So you don't do that. But instead you get a sweet weapon. A sword, a spear, or a hammer. And we always choose the spear. Because the spear of the word is busted. It's very good. Alright, well, now we don't have anything holding us back, so let's just unleash on everything in the apartment complex. As if by fate, Helen's the first one to rock up to receive our wrath, which is great. There's only room for one psycho in this apartment complex, and I've got a nicer mask, so see you in hell. With that, let's start the boss rush. First up, we have the taxidermy, and I'm happy to report I finally found a use for that goddamn acid sprayer. That and Glitch Bleed gave me my fastest taxidermy clear to date. 2-round taxidermy. Made that look pretty easy. If you're having trouble with look outside, especially cursed mode, try using this loadout as kind of a base for one of your characters, because it does make things significantly easier. I think the greater player base doesn't really understand what the glitch statuses are, or the fact that most of the time they are a huge benefit. You just have to use them in the right situations. The only other enemy that causes you real trouble in the taxidermy apartment is this abomination freak. What makes him frustrating is he has that same lick ability that some of the shades do that gives you pretty much every status effect. It's really annoying, and it did remove my glitch rage here, which I wasn't happy about. Oh, and by the way, a little bit of editing magic that I'll let you in on. If you see me in a fight with glitch bleed and then the follow-up fight in the same place with glitch rage, I wasn't swapping between the statuses. I did all the fights with glitch rage first, and then did all the fights with glitch bleed. Ooh, editing magic, bleh. It just plays better this way, okay? Go with it. Next up on the hit list was the teeth apartment. It was time for us to put the baby to bed and score all the sweet teeth guns with infinite ammo that are hanging out in here. Now the teeth baby is no joke. She is considered to be a super boss and has one of the highest health pools of any of the super bosses, so this was a tricky one. Now the teeth baby has quite a few appendages that are going to attack you all at once, so it's best to use attacks that hit everything at the same time and deal status effects. I will admit I got some pretty lucky RNG on this fight. I had to do it a couple times. If you saw me agonizing over the decision to use that fingernail bomb, it's because they're really good against the Exalted 4. Oh well, the teeth guns are worth it. Since I was just across the hall, I decided to go back and scoop up the odd offering that's hidden in Glitch World. I completely spaced on getting this when I was here last. Since we just managed to snag the Magnum and the rifle from Teeth Hell, I put the Magnum to good use. The great thing about the teeth guns is that they use your own health to regenerate ammo. This works really well with the Indigo Mask since you can just break it in every battle and regenerate your health. So you basically have infinite ammo. I am particularly fond of the Teeth Magnum since it has this triple shot ability which drains half of its cylinder. So if I get double turns, I shoot off 6 bullets and then I reload the next turn. Nice and easy. At this point, there's very few things outside of super bosses that can survive me fanning the Magnum. Okay, that's 2 odd offerings down, just another 2 to go. Okay, so this is an odd glitch. It is well known, but I'm not sure if many people have run into it. For some reason, if you go to war with the roaches in your apartment and you try to fight the roaches anywhere but the bathroom, they summon this really big roach that's supposed to fight you. It for some reason becomes just an onlooker that's like in the wall that Sybil looks at you from. Yeah, it was weird. But it did happen twice. Whatever. Now that we have our build worked out, we've kind of gone on to cleanup duty. So we're making our way down through the apartment floors and just exterminating everything that I ran past earlier. There is still a few key items we have to pick up, specifically the invulnerability syringe and the combat surge. They're pretty much mandatory for half of the endings we're going to get later on. The overgrown apartment harbors one of these items, the invulnerability syringe. The big douchebag Marvin has it. Marvin isn't a great experience when you're solo. He'll just instant kill you after about 4 rounds. Thankfully, glitch rage and a decent slashing weapon like the claymore I'm currently rocking helps us prune his ass pretty easily. Ooh, that was a big crit. Nice. Invulnerability syringe. Yay. The next syringe we need, the combat surge, is back in the landlord's apartment. So we need to go snag that. We also need the planet disc that's here for Unity ending. Woo. That means we have to trudge through this whole place and wipe out everything. It took a really long time and I went through like 4 or 5 slashing weapons. They just kept breaking because there's so many guys to slap. It was pretty risky because I should have been running Glitch Bleed, but I walked into the surgeon's tent rocking my Glitch Rage. And it was a pretty bad idea. I almost died to these guys because of the random nature of Glitch Rage. Lucky for me, old Psycho Sam took out the surgeon straight away, so that was pretty helpful. Thanks, man. Once I took out the last of the bandage boys, I got the combat surge syringe. Hey, did you know the APC really doesn't like the cattle prod spear? He really doesn't like it. This fight was a good example of the synergy between the coat of arms and glitch rage. Attacking 6 times in a turn, even if like half of them miss, pretty ridiculous. Our third odd offering for the mask ending can be found here behind this fake wall. Just make sure you don't stand too close because you'll end up blowing yourself to pieces. There is another shade enemy protecting this odd offering, and he's particularly annoying because he absorbs your health on every turn. Luckily, he is pretty susceptible to paralyze, and I just paralyzed the piss out of him. Lucky thing too, because he's a slippery bugger, he's pretty hard to hit. Ooh, that was a pretty lucky fight. I accidentally infected him with my glitched rage, which can happen in that fight. Luckily he was paralyzed or he'd be attacking me 3 times a turn. Okay, it's time to give the trench digger a dishonorable discharge by cutting him into little pieces with a sword. Not a lot of strategy going into this one. Glitch rage, big sword, get him. Man, Glitch Rage is funny. Just turns the game into an auto battler. I didn't do anything. Okay, this might be the most heartbreaking kill of the entire run. Steve Jr., no. Oh god, I almost forgot about this guy. I don't know what this thing's deal is, but this guy was harder to kill than some of the actual super bosses. Half the time I would walk in here and he'd immediately, before I could do anything, absolutely screw me with that lick attack and all the status effects. He's so fast with it. It's annoying as hell. For whatever reason, when I initiated this fight, he licked me and I didn't get any of the status effects. I don't really understand why. He usually just stun locks you to death. Whatever. Good riddance. There was some notable encounters while I was cleaning the sewers, like the sewer beast here, but shooting the hell out of them with my teeth magnum certainly did the trick. I haven't really mentioned it up until this point, but I've been abusing the tickle glitch to get infinite blood clot bombs this entire time, and it's kind of a staple of my kit, but tickle has to go. You've been betrayed for the last time, my friend. There's two notable bosses down in the sewer, the boiler beast and the furnace, and we deal with them the same way. Walk in all pissed off with a cattle prod and stab the shit out of them. It always surprises me how much health that guy has. That's ridiculous. Time for the furnace fight. This guy used to be a real staple of the early game on 1.0. He was like one of the highest of the high. Oh my god, you have to fight the furnace? Man, he's so tough. Well, not anymore. I also got this weird glitch where Sam's image didn't come up at the bottom of the screen. It definitely has something to do with Glitch Rage because it only happened one other time when I was fighting Lethargy. So yeah, that was 8 hits in 2 turns. Smoked. Too bad, pal. Better luck in the next life, I guess. Since there's so many things to kill, I had completely spaced on these larger shades that lead to Spider, so I decided now's probably a good time to start hunting them down too. Each one of these guys has like a different gimmick, but unfortunately for them, they don't have a lot of health, so Glitch Rage usually just punched through whatever dumbass mechanic they had. Oh god, this guy. Has anyone even seen the Labyrinth Demon? He's really hard to find. I specifically went out of my way to find this dude, and it still took me like 25 minutes walking down endless hallways. He's in the Infinite Labyrinth on floor 2 for some reason. Yeah, he's cool. Cool design. But yeah, doesn't really do anything. He's probably the rarest Pokemon in the game though, if you're into that kind of thing. This boss shade on floor 2 was one of the really annoying ones. This one hits you with confusion before you start the fight. That's how you know you're in for a bad time. Luckily, he's flimsy, so get a couple of hits in, you'll be fine. By the way, if you're wondering why I'm fighting these guys, it's not to recruit Spider. It's specifically to fight Spider. I don't want to recruit anyone. But I was weighing up whether killing Spider is worth doing over, the risk of recruiting him. It seemed like fighting all these guys and fighting Spider was appropriate. This douche of a shade has this ability where he can make you go insane. It's a really unique status effect that only this guy, and I'm pretty sure the Obsession, can do. It wasn't a big problem with him, but it becomes a huge issue with Obsession. You'll know what I mean before too long. This shade on the ground floor might be the most dangerous of the lot. He really dishes out the damage, but he's got almost no health. He's so flimsy, glass cannon. If you can survive his initial onslaught, you just slap him like twice. With those 5 shade guys dealt with, it was time to go visit Spider. If you're not familiar with this whole process, there's this hidden character called Spider that's really cryptic and weird, and he hides under this hidden room under the stairs, and you have to kill those 5 major shade bosses before you can get in here. This is technically the route to recruit Spider, but you have to fight Spider before you recruit him. I'm trying to kill everything. You picking up what I'm putting down? Plus, recruiting Spider doesn't count towards your overall friend counter because he hates you, and I hate him, so it kind of works out. I don't think I've ever been this geared up coming down here to collect Spider, so I absolutely obliterated him. Look at this cheap shot. I've already killed him and he just gut punches me with pain. What a dick. So this is interesting. I didn't realize it, but when you tell Spider to hit the bricks, he just like evaporates and dies. I hope. So yeah, get out. This is a little embarrassing to admit, but in the background of this run, I was receiving some anger management therapy from Pierre down the hall. Luckily for me, there's nothing more cathartic than murdering your therapist. Especially when that therapist is a happy clown and you hate clowns and happiness. Ooh, that was a nasty crit. Ooh, there's another one. 500 damage. God damn. That was over 1,000 damage, that volley. Ha! I was in the mood to go kick someone's ass who actually deserved it, so we started making our way down to the 4th floor to go eviscerate Marc-Andre. I still owe him for spilling a tonic on drowning in my last playthrough. The abandoned metro station is down here on the 4th floor, and so is another one of those odd offerings, so there is a reason to be down here outside of kicking Marc-Andre's ass, but man, was that satisfying. Usually to recruit this guy, you have to let him beat you, but he rubs it in your face and he's just a dick. There is another 2 of those major shades down here. They catch you on your way out after you grab the offering. Normally they're fairly intimidating and you have to fight them back to back, but hey, glitch rage. Plus there was still an ember left in my furnace edge, so it just melted them. This was a pretty weird glitch. For some reason, the background, instead of being just pure darkness, looks as though it's the main title screen of Look Outside. I can see the window and Look Outside written on the ground, but it's kind of all distorted. I don't know why I did that. So we're almost up to the point where the timeline for this run splits off in a bunch of different directions, so I can do a bunch of different endings. Each ending is kind of its own boss rush, so I figured I'd get to a point where I've collected everything I need for all of the endings, and then we can do the split there. In case you were wondering, no, the endings don't include Cinnamon. I went and fought Cinnamon out of curiosity and killed him in like 2 turns. He's just not hard enough for it to be interesting. Okay, so Cinnamon dies here. There's still a few entrances into Meat World that I have to unlock for the Unity ending, so we went and visited Summer and her little fish tank. These guys do not like the cattle prod at all. What a surprise. Okay, so this was pretty funny. My cattle prod actually ran out of charge halfway through fighting this guy, but I punched him in the face for 100 damage. Still killed him. The most dangerous enemy in this area is definitely Drowning, and this fight was pretty tricky. For whatever reason, he contracts Glitch Rage really easily, and 3 hits of Mauling in a row is bad news for me. Drowning has an ability called Suffocation that goes off at the beginning of every round. It just completely halves your health, so you don't want to be in this fight for long. Thankfully, I dodged those last 2 attacks, or that would have been the end of me. Summer, the owner of the underwater apartment, and her cursed form, Lethargy, are the only fight left in here. This is the other instance where the game freaked out and Sam's image didn't appear at the bottom of the screen for some reason. It kind of sucks out a lot of the tension, because this guy was kicking the hell out of me. I got paralyzed straight away, and then he smacked me around for, I think, 2 turns before I finally got my chance to counterattack. Thankfully, Glitch Rage decided to attack Summer instead of the tentacles or anything else. Yeah, so that was awfully lucky. I can't recall how much health that I had left, but it wasn't a lot. The mask did break after all, but it led to me getting that almost 600 damage crit, so yeah. Now that floor 3, 2, and the ground floor are pretty much cleaned out of anything living, we swap back to Glitch Bleed and make our way into the basement. Our goal here is the super boss Comatus in the Spore Labyrinth, but we'll have to make our way through all of these car guys and take on Hellride on the way. Boy, the teeth weapons can really pump out the damage. I decided to rock the teeth rifle over the Magnum going into Hellride. Since the rifle has a capacity of 8 shots, I figured I would spend less time reloading the damn thing. Honestly, I played this one really sloppy. I wasted a turn in the middle there, but the Glitch Bleed and the rifle damage just made up for it. I did consider cutting this fight out of the video because we've all seen Hellride before, but man, this soundtrack is such a bop. Ooh, cut that one pretty close. Back in the Spore Labyrinth, there's only two notable fights in here, the Guardian and the Spore Mother. Prior to the final vision, this guy was a bit of a joke, but he got a sleeper buff that makes him absolutely fucked. So this guy has Impale, he's got the funny stick ability, and he gets to gamble on you. It's all fun and games until you get instant killed. He's not shy about it either, he spams this fucking thing. If I didn't have the Indigo Mask to face tank that insta-kill Impale, I would have been screwed. The Spore Mother comparatively is such a pushover. I already killed Philippe earlier, so she didn't have a little pal to drop pain on me in every turn. Alright, so we're at the point now where we have to split our timeline of this rampage into 5 separate endpoints. The reason I say 5 instead of the 3 endings that we're going to do is because there is 2 super bosses that are not possible to do solo along with one of the endings. These 2 super bosses are Comatus and Honko. Both of these guys are so goddamn strong that you need to drop the Combat Surge and Invulnerability Syringe to survive. It is not possible otherwise. I'd love to kill all of these guys in one run, but the game does not give you the resources to make it happen. Honko and Comatus are easily on the same level as the Exalted 4. So let's start this boss rush by taking on Comatus first. One of the very unique things about Comatus is he is the only boss that we do not wear the coat of arms for. Comatus has such a strong ability to freeze on every attack that it's not worth rocking anything but the winter coat. Freezing is not a status effect that has any really strong counters. You can't do anything about it. It's like getting stunned all the time, every turn, and numbness doesn't stop it. Since this winter coat is required, we don't have the ability to summon our double turns, which kills our DPS. On top of that, the best way to handle Comatus is actually waiting him out. It's turtling up, increasing your defense, and waiting until he runs out of stamina. He has to hit you so hard and so often that he actually drains all his reserves, then you can fight back. We do run Glitch Bleed for this fight because we need the extra health to survive. However, Comatus can make you bleed on all of his attacks as well, so you need to squeeze off numbness round 1 and then try to survive while Comatus does all of his stance changes. He's going to attack you a couple of times and then change his stance. We have to wait until he gets into his 4th stance where he has insanely high crit. At this point, he should start failing some of his attacks because he's run out of stamina. That's when we can make our move. The only thing we can really do while he's kicking the shit out of us for the first like 12 turns is try to blind him and heal. Comatus gets bizarrely affected by blind. This means Painful Stab is a really helpful ability, and so is Grandma's Ashes. Funnily enough, because Comatus takes so many goddamn turns, Painful Stab hits him every time he does anything. So the best value in the whole game for Painful Stab is this fight. Once we finally corner Comatus in his final stance, you need to pop the Combat Surge and the Invulnerability Syringe in order to do the damage required to kill him. Even though at this stage some of his attacks will fail, the crit stance that he's in does massive damage, so if he squeezes off 1 or 2 hits, you're almost gonna die. Without the coat of arms, we can't heal and hurt him at the same time. We'll need the Combat Surge for that. The Invulnerability Syringe's job is to make sure that we don't have to heal every turn, then at least we can squeeze out 2 actions worth of damage. This is one of the, if not the longest fight in the game. Comatus is so powerful that he is the only enemy that I have to go on the defensive to actually beat. Alright, now that the strategy's out of the way, I'll let the rest of the fight play out. Funnily enough, because you don't actually have to kill Comatus to win this fight, he is the only enemy in the game you can beat from just using status effects. Well, that fight was hard as nails. Let's go see what Honko's like. Honko is an optional super boss hidden away in this secret path in Glitch World. You have to have completed the Honko's Grand Adventure video game and gotten the Cash Sock skill to even get access to him. Honko's whole deal is that he is slowly being corrupted by the glitch dimension. This corruption causes him to be torn apart and split into separate entities. This fight plays out in 4 phases. The first phase, he's kinda happy. The second phase, where he's invisible here, he's not supposed to be. He gets sick, he's like, oh, I don't feel good and stuff. Halfway through this phase, he will split into 3 different Honkos. Once you do enough damage to the main Honko, he'll split again and there'll be 5 Honkos. The first 2 clones that come out of him aren't that dangerous. Let's say they're tier 1 Honkos. They can do some nasty things, but they're not nearly as bad as the tier 2s. If you take things slow, you can kill these first 2 clones before the next 2 come out. That probably would have been the smart way to handle this, but I didn't do that. Once you do enough damage to the main Honko, he'll progress to the next phase and spawn the tier 2 Honkos. Once the second set of clones has spawned, Honko Prime goes absolutely fucking crazy. His glitchiness gets ramped up to 11 and he'll start using pain on every single turn. So at that point, you've got 5 guys attacking you at once. One of them is going to be halving your health every turn. The other 4 can do some crazy things. They can breathe fire, drool acid, lick you for those crazy status effects. If you're not running numbness or something similar, you're just going to get stun locked to oblivion. The strategy for this fight is actually quite simple. Cash Sock, the ability that you need to unlock to get into this fight, is the best weapon against Honko. Since he's like a gumball or something, he gets wrecked by crushing damage, and that's what Cash Sock does. If you come into this fight with a fair whack of money, you can speedrun killing the Prime Honko and stop him from using pain every round. At that point, his friends aren't that hard to mop up. Once the final phase is activated and all of the Honkos are on the field, I pop the combat syringe and the invulnerability surge to survive. Once I have the free turns up, I start cash socking the living shit out of the Prime Honko. Let's jump into the fight and see how this plays out. Ooh, I actually managed to get triple turns here because the coat of arms and the combat surge are working in sync. Okay, sweet. Prime Honko's been taken out, so he explodes like a piñata and spits out all of these candies, which is pretty cool. Unfortunately, you still have to fight his friends, and the game kind of glitches out because you're not supposed to do this, so now you're fighting a blank screen. But the guys are still there, and they can still do their attacks. Okay, watching a fight in the dark is just stupid. Let's just skip to the end. Wicked, that's Honko dealt with. He does drop a hell of a lot of candies that boost your stats, but I'm gonna have to reverse time on this one because I need those goddamn shots to fight the other bosses. Shame too. Look how awesome my stats were after I ate all these candies. Whoa. Too bad. Moving on, we're in the Unity ending timeline. Our goal here is to chase down Sybil and learn the truth and doom the world. This involves going to Sybil's apartment, fighting Obsession, and then going into the meat world to take out Sybil. The first hurdle to overcome is the unique shade boss, Obsession. He's the one making all these knocking noises in the back of Sybil's old apartment. Okay, I made a major mistake coming into this fight with Glitch Bleed. Obsession is the only other shade boss outside of that guy on the 3rd floor that can inflict madness. Madness just makes you randomly attack. It's kind of like a fusion on steroids. If I had Glitch Rage on here, I could have made really short work of this guy, but I just didn't think it through. So instead, he made me crazy and I just started slashing at him with a teeth sword. I do put up a bit of a fight to begin with until he starts chaining madness, and then I spend, I don't know, like 10 turns just out of control. The madness status lasts so long that it gives Obsession enough time to use his revelation ability to making me go mad again. He just chains it constantly. As you can see, I did not have high hopes for this fight. I was doing so little damage, like 20 damage hitting him. One health left. Yeah, absolutely skin of my teeth on that one. If you haven't gone down the Unity ending route before, this is what you have to do. Go and find Sybil in the apartment next door to you. Make her the promise, which is, oh, I'll let you forget about the secret. And then betray her immediately and attack her. She will transport you into Meat World for the final showdown against her true form. Unlike the Madman run, I'm not fighting fully powered Sybil, screw that. So while we run around taking out all the organs, let's fight some of these Meat World guys as well. Big Tongue Teeth Face Man over here was probably the biggest challenge out of all the unique Meat World enemies, because just like the other Big Tongue, he likes to whack you with Lick and give you all the status effects. This dude was honestly the hardest of the status effect spamming licking boys in the game. There's quite a few of them, but this guy was something else. I had to take the anxiety medication before I went into this fight in the hopes that I would have the opportunity to pop numbness before he started doing all his dumb stuff. There's some pretty interesting characters running around in Meat World, like Two-Headed Guy, the Tonsil Family, and Depresso. But they all went down pretty easy. Our real target in this gooey place is all of Sybil's organs. There's a total of 9 of these funny guys, and you need to take them all out to weaken Sybil before the final boss fight. I've seen what it's like when you don't take these guys out and fight Sybil when she's in her full power, and I'd rather not do that. Each one of these guys has their own little gimmick in their fight. It's the same power that they bring to the final form of Sybil, but I managed to use the same strategy to take them all out. Glitch Rage, slashing weapon. Considering how far through the game I am and how many fights I've undertaken prior to this, I was actually running really low on weapons. My claymores and machetes are long gone. I'm now resorting to using the bone saw, I'm pretty sure. Oh, and hot tip, the chainsaw sucks ass with Glitch Rage. Any of the weapons that have a multi-hit ability built in, they just don't work, which is a real shame. Chainsaw was hella expensive as well. Okay, so we're up to our final fight with Sybil, and unlike the Madman run, it is a bit of a walk in the park. I guess maybe just comparatively, because I fought Sybil the most as the Madman. This time around, the black hole on the first turn is kind of whatever. She doesn't have all these pals helping her out. She doesn't have kids that spawn. It's just Sybil. She can attack you. She can use pain. It's pretty annoying when you're not getting pounded 5 to 9 times a turn. You do have time to heal. You do have time to attack. Hell, you even have time to reload. We are rocking Glitch Bleed for this fight because we do have to use a fair few items and skills just to make sure that we can top ourselves off and also pop our syringes if necessary. Funnily enough, I don't really have audio of this fight because I happened to be recording this when I was sitting in fellow runners Jay Here's live stream, so the footage picked up a lot of that chatter. Do you want to listen to it for a second? It's a garbled mess.
I think channel drawing is decent. We got the cassette tape. Nice. We got the last one we needed. Also, let's go kill Crawler too while we're at it. He should also count as a boss right now. He is being counted by the listing, so therefore it should work.
Yeah, let's not listen to too much of that. Look, it might be a blessing in disguise because the backing track for this final big showdown against Sybil is pretty lackluster, so let's add something more appropriate. At this point in the fight, I've dealt enough damage that Sybil uses her safety black hole. She kinda does this when she gets below 70% health. It's a good indication in this battle to keep applying pressure because you're almost on the home stretch. Status effects are going a long way in this fight now that Sybil doesn't have all of her resistances from the organs, bleeding, burning, acid, it's all beautiful. Just pile it on and she'll slowly drain away. I just realized that I didn't use Combat Surge or the Invulnerability Syringe in this fight. I guess at the time I didn't think they were that necessary, and they weren't really. That's kind of embarrassing. Oh well. Well, powered down, Sybil isn't much to write home about. That's why she's the first of the boss rushes. Anyway, now that she's dead, let's take the small key and go and doom the world. Okay, let's jump back in time again and go for the mask ending this time. So to activate the mask ending, instead of giving the proper offerings to all the astronomers, we give them those weird, odd offerings that don't really make any sense and kind of screw up reality. The fun part about this ending is that it makes your little adventure up to the rooftop at a complete boss rush, where you have to fight all of the crazy mutated versions of the astronomers before you eventually fight the mask. This is one of those complete subversion of expectation endings where something comes out of left field and a bunch of crazy shit happens for pretty much no reason. It's very fun. The cursed versions of each one of the astronomers, Jasper, Aurelius, Beryl, and Asta, are all really unique. They have special mechanics that only work in their boss battles, and you have to fight them one after the other. I decided I would fight Jasper first, which was probably not the smartest idea. His cursed form, the Crimson Scourge, is all based around inflicting bleeding and this unique stuff with bleeding, the status effect, and I was rocking Glitch Bleed. If you get hit with normal bleed, it removes the glitched version. I should have done this fight last. It would have been smart, but nope. Yeah, so he removed Glitch Bleed on the first turn before I could do anything. Ah, fucking hell. So this guy's whole deal is that he deals a lot of bleeding, and then he has this ability where based on how much bleeding that you have built up, he like dumps a bunch of damage on you. But instead I just used numbness, so I didn't end up getting bled all that often. I just got my Glitch Bleed taken from me straight away. Without the big boost from Glitch Bleed, my gun did shit all, so I pretty much just hit this guy with a lot of status effects and waited him out. This guy has so many abilities that are powered by stealing the bleeding status effect off your party, but because I wasn't bleeding at all for any of this, he couldn't really do any of it. It's like 2/3 of his kit. So the only thing he can really do is attack me and flail around and slap me a bunch, trying to make me bleed, but numbness stops that from happening. If you're in a full party, this dude is an absolute menace because you can't cover all of your party members with numbness all the time. Usually, a major component of this fight is how much this guy can heal himself by sucking the bleeding status out of your team members. But because that never occurred in this fight, he never got to hit his max HP, which is 4,800. He starts with 3,200, but normally heals straight up to that 48 pretty easily. That didn't happen. This guy also has a failsafe that happens when he gets to 30% HP. It just went off. It's called Blood Gorge, and it drains everyone in the party's health down to 10 and gives all of that remaining health back to the Crimson Scourge. But I had like 200 health and my mask hadn't broken yet, so he got nothing. This dude is such a menace to a full party, but honestly, handling him when you're alone is not that bad. I feel like that fight was a lot harder than it needed to be, but everyone's a strategist in hindsight. Aurelius is up next, and I had to be a lot more careful now that my Glitch Bleed was gone. Aurelius's cursed form, the Spine Tingler, which is an interesting name, has a pretty unique mechanic that just sows chaos on a party. Each turn, this guy has an ability called Spinal Control that he'll use. It's like an advanced version of Charm. It takes control of one of your party members and makes them fight against you. Absolutely horrifying for solo players. Thankfully, it seems that numbness, it gives you an immunity to this. Either that or it just doesn't work when you're alone. Either way, he couldn't manage to control me, so there's that at least. The Spine Tingler has 4 of these spiny limbs that he slaps you with every turn. Aurelius's main body doesn't actually attack, and you could probably end this fight early if you took it out with some big damage, but without Glitch Bleed, I don't have big damage. So I had to take this one nice and slow. The Spine Tingler does have some fairly strong resistance against status effects, but he doesn't have any immunity to damage over time. Bleeding, poison, and disease really helped me out here. Losing Glitch Bleed in the previous fight really screwed me over for this one. This guy constantly stays on you, and that scrape attack from all of the limbs actually does a fair whack of damage, about 100 for each one of these hits. Without the glitch status effect, I've lost about 450 max health, and that's for both sides of my mask, so you could say about 900, almost 1,000 health I'm down without that status, and my gun does half the damage, and also a little bit less crit, because you have a better luck stat with Glitch Bleed. I yo-yoed pretty hard from almost dead to barely surviving getting through this. It was not a great experience, and it really made me rethink taking this boss gauntlet, especially considering how many explosives that I had to use on this guy. I was kind of saving them for the mask. I heavily considered starting again and choosing a different order to fight these guys in, hopefully to maintain my glitch status effect, but in the end, it didn't need to. In hindsight, it probably would have been a good idea to pop the invulnerability syringe or combat surge in this fight. I definitely struggled with it a lot more than some of the others. These last 2 fights have been really tough. The reduced survivability and damage output in the absence of Glitch Bleed absolutely sucks. I'm barely hanging on and burning through my resources fast. Out of pure desperation, I decided to try to re-roll a glitch status effect in an attempt to get something that could be useful. Ooh, yeah, baby. That did take 2 attempts because I happen to have 1 glitch medication left, but thank God, now we're back on track. Our next boss is Asta's cursed form, the Dream Eater. The Dream Eater's unique gimmick might be the most interesting of this whole crew. As you might imagine, his whole battle revolves around trying to put you to sleep. And if he manages to put you to sleep, he can kind of devour you. Dream Eater, get it? Unlike all the other situations in the game where an enemy swallows you or eats you, something like that, and you end up dead or otherwise incapacitated for the battle, if this guy devours you when you're asleep, you are erased from existence. You're just out of the party, you can never come back. Since I'm solo at the moment, that means instant death. If I had a party though, any of the other team members, gone. In order to avoid this fate, every time the Dream Eater spawns these sleepy bubbles, you have to make sure you get them off of the goddamn field before they can pop. Otherwise, at the end of that turn, old Asta over there with his funny vacuum nose is gonna Alt F4 your ass. In hindsight, I'm quite lucky that I'm doing this battle alone, as Asta grows in strength and potential as he devours more party members. In a normal playthrough, this fight can snowball out of control faster than any other. If Asta manages to devour even one of your teammates, the odds are stacked against you so high that you might not be able to recover. In the unfortunate event that Asta eats all 3 of your teammates, you are pretty much screwed. I don't know how you'd be able to overcome the increased stats, health, and regen that Asta will gain. Not only that, but you'd also be alone to do the rest of these fights, which, yeah, you're probably going to be pretty fucked. In any case, because we have our Glitch Bleed back and our gun is doing big boy damage once again, we're able to make a fairly compelling argument as to why Asta should no longer be alive. haven't really been paying much attention to how much XP and money I've been getting from these fights since I've been level 20 for I don't know how long, but Asta gave me 200 XP. Spine Tingler gave me 1400. What's with that? Beryl and her cursed form, the 100 Moors, are the last astronomer fight left before we have to face the mask. I equipped the flamethrower before I started this fight because I know from experience that this is a horde battle. This fight is definitely the most challenging for a solo player out of the 4 astronomers on the roof. There's 2 elements to this fight that make it uniquely problematic. The first is the dangling noodles that invaded the screen from the top right hand side. The second is all those goddamn eyes. The noodles are referred to as the Moors of the name 100 Moors. There's only 7 of them, there isn't 100. I guess the rest are shy. The Moors get slowly introduced over the course of the battle and attack you non-stop. They can absorb your health, deal poison damage, inflict you with diseases, and also burn you with acid. Likewise, the many eyes that feature on Beryl's body also progress in stages throughout the battle. When you start the battle, there's only a few eyes closed, which is stage 4 of their progression. The more eyes that are open on this thing, the worse the attacks get. So you want to deal damage to slowly close the eyes. This is easier said than done though, because you need to deal over 200 damage just to progress them back 1 stage. In the lesser stages, the eyes can do things like inflict you with panic and put you to sleep, but once all the eyes are open, he can do that stares out into eternity move that instantly kills you. It's the same cheesy bullshit that the Chaos Quartet likes to spam you with. It's still just a 10% chance to instantly kill you, but 10% is too high when this guy does it every turn. Unlike the other 3 astronomer fights on the roof, this one isn't anchored around a unique gimmick of the boss. Instead, it's just a gang bash. There's like 9 different appendages to fight. This is why we took the flamethrower. The wide spray from the flamethrower hitting literally everything is perfect for this fight. It might be the best use case in the game. Not only does the flame do massive damage thanks to our ballistic increase with glitch bleed, but the burning and bleeding from blood clot bombs and the flamethrower is keeping Beryl's regeneration at bay. One of the interesting design aspects to this fight is that unlike the Spine Tingler Aurelius, Beryl's main body isn't the core of the 100 Moors. The eyes and the blue arms thing is. She's actually just another one of the Moors. You can kill her, doesn't do anything. I'm not sure if there's any symbolism behind this, or if it's kind of a red herring. Like you already fought Aurelius, and that was his weakness, or you'll assume that Beryl is the same, but it's not. Or maybe it's like a fertility thing, since Beryl's the only female astronomer. I don't know. Using the shuriken to finish that battle was pretty much just for star points. Ooh, alright, that's the cursed astronomers down. It's only the mask left. In this ending, the mask takes the place of the visitor fight at the ritual circle for some reason. We've swapped back to the furnace edge and the silver magnum for the fight against the mask, since I think I'll need the extra damage. Okay, mask time. So this fight is more cinematic overall than it is a challenge, I guess you could say. There's not a lot of crazy mechanics that come into play here. The biggest issue with the mask is that the 2 most prominent moves that he will use outside of just looking at you like a weirdo is Pain and Black Hole. Both of these abilities reduce your health by a percentage amount. Black holes like half your health. Pain's like 35% usually. Outside of that, up to 7 of his little gangly hands are going to spawn on the sides of the screen and just slap you every turn. They don't do a crazy amount of damage, but they do enough to be consistently annoying. So this is a fight where you have to top off your health really often while also trying to keep up the DPS so that you can clean some of these hands off the field and slow down the amount of damage you're taking. While this is happening, there's this really cool effect down the bottom with Sam's little display image where your head is splitting in half starting at the top and working its way down to your chin. It doesn't affect your capability in the battle, but man, it looks damn cool. Right about now, when the 7th hand spawns, it rips your tongue out, which just looks dope. It's just very sick. It's a sick element to the battle. When your tongue gets ripped, you will get extreme bleeding if you're not running numbness, but that didn't happen to me. The mask is designed to be a very difficult target to kill. Even though he doesn't have huge health, he has a 70% damage reduction across the board against everything. He's the kind of boss that you just have to chip away at over time. The various hands the mask summons, however, are far more flimsy. They supposedly only have around 300-400 health, so getting rid of them should be the priority, just to slow things down a smidgen. You probably don't want any of these hands on the screen when the mask does his special move. Ooh. Getting rid of these hands quickly is why I wanted to conserve my explosives. My stack of blood clot bombs and filthy bombs are helping out here, but this guy doesn't take much damage over time. The raw damage from the explosions, coupled with the occasional stun, has a lot more value. The body horror aspect of this fight is just glorious. Look at Sam down in the bottom left-hand corner. Head splitting in half, tongue ripped out. He's having such a bad time. Oh, it's just great. Alright, we're starting to clear some of the hands in preparation for the next phase. The unique mechanic of this fight against the mask is that once you get him down to 60% health, he's going to stop time. Yeah, he stops time for 3 turns, in which you can't do anything, and he can whack you and slap you and do all his normal stuff. So you have to make sure that your health is topped off in anticipation for that time stop, because you don't want to die while you can't do anything. I got really lucky in the first time stop because the mask didn't decide to use any of his good abilities. He just did nothing. He looked at me and whacked me once. And yeah, I said first time stop because he's going to do that shit again when you hit 30% of his HP. Now that the rest of the hands are cleared, we can start focusing down the mask. Time to whip out the Magnum and just drain all of the ammo that we have on this guy. This is when you can see that 70% damage resistance really playing out. I've got glitch bleed, I'm shooting him with the silver Magnum, and I can barely crack 40 damage a hit. That's just crazy. Oh, here comes the second time stop. Funny thing about this fight is that Sam gains immunity to the time stop after the first one. The rest of the party will be frozen for this second time stop, but Sam won't. Usually it's pretty unique. Oh, Sam's the only one who can do anything, but I don't have any party members, so yeah, cool for me. Well, the boss gauntlet getting here was pretty tough, but we made fairly short work of the mask. Looks like it's about time to become a perpetually tormented, time-traveling, mute, voyeuristic shadow god in the mask ending. Have fun! Hopping timelines once again, we've now made our way back into the true final ending timeline. We've already finished Massacre Princess Catholicon. All we have to do is gaslight ourselves into thinking we can fight the cosmic god that's in the stratosphere. For whatever reason, bouncing the idea off of all of the astronomers, even though each one of them says, "That's fucking stupid, are you crazy?" gives us so much delusional confidence that we can do it, that it actually wills it into existence. It's pretty much textbook example of oppositional defiance disorder. Sam basically turns around and says, "You can't tell me what to do. I played that Final Fantasy-like game, and in that one they collected a bunch of crystals and they beat the Massacre Princess, so I reckon I could bash God. Yeah, totally." Thus proving that Sam's most powerful ability is delusional self-confidence. With our preparations done, it's time to head up to the roof and perform the ritual. No big surprises yet, the ritual goes the way we want it to, all the offerings are perfect. Let's go talk to the visitor. Ah, the classic Chaos Quartet. Strategy for these guys hasn't changed since the release of the game. On round 1, all the astronomers are getting pulled into each other and they don't really do anything, so we use this opportunity to pop numbness so it's up for the next 10 turns. This fight on Curse Mode hasn't gotten any giant changes, nothing crazy in terms of wild new mechanics, but he did get a boatload more health. Considering the Exalted 4 comes directly after this, and it's a hell of a lot harder, we try to conserve our resources against the quartet. This guy is highly resistant to status effects and doesn't care much for damage over time either. He's 60% resistant to it, which makes applying it really difficult, especially bleed, which he has an additional resistance to. Since this guy is a gateway to a much harder fight, being conservative is kind of a double-edged sword. We want to hold on to all of our best resources, weapons, and items for the next fight, but these guys can still be a real problem. Especially later in the fight, where they seem to use the Infinite Gaze Eyes of Eternity ability all the time, like every turn sometimes. This ability has a 10% chance to instant kill you, just like Barrels does. And it feels like these guys know that and they just want to gamble on it. Gamble, 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 trying to funny stick you. It's only fun when I do it. I don't want to be instant killed by something else. That's bullshit. The upgrade to Cursed Mode only gave the quartet an extra 550 health for a total of 2750, but when they're using the Eyes of Eternity thing twice a turn, it feels like a lot, like they have double the health or something. In reality, it's probably just the frequency of that move got jacked up by like 200%. But anyway, as long as you can have your stamina tapped off and numbness online for this entire fight, really the only risk is going to sleep or getting hit with the black hole. If you can survive that and get lucky with the Infinite Gaze and not instantly die, it's not that bad. Alright, Exalted 4. As is tradition, I'm going to take the SMG Special, and this time the Crossword Spear, since the piercing is great against the eyes. Spoiler alert, I died. I ended up going back in with the War Rifle. Just like in the release date of the game, the Exalted 4 gives you one round of levity where you can apply some buffs before shit goes south. The beginning of this fight gets really hectic, so I pop my combat surge straight away because I'm going to need as many turns as possible. These extra 4 little flying eyes are a curse mode inclusion. These guys are a pain. You want to get them off the field as fast as possible, because the Exalted 4 back there is going to keep doing his rotation and firing off laser beams at you. Our top priority here is definitely the Sapphire Eye up in the top right hand corner. That guy can freeze you, and you do not want to get frozen in this fight. He can also put you to sleep, but as you might imagine, you get whacked a lot in this fight, so waking up isn't that much of an issue. The best way to drop these guys is fire bombs, explosives, and the fingernail bomb, since it does piercing damage and wrecks the eyes. Firebomb does additional damage to the Sapphire Eye, so he's kind of ice related, I guess, but it does absolutely no damage to the Ruby Eye in the top left. So usually what happens is all the eyes get cleared off, but the Ruby Eye sticks on for a bit because he's not getting all the splash damage. Once you deal enough damage to the floating eyes, they'll start to close and go into defense mode, which means they skip their attacks, but they do get a little bit harder to kill. Everything in this battle regenerates every turn, which makes clearing them out quickly a real pain. Each one of the eyes has about 1000 HP, but they regenerate 5% of their health each turn. Stacking damage over time effects on these guys early on, like bleed or burn or poison if you have it, really goes a long way. Preferably, I'd like these guys to be wiped off the board by the end of the Exalted 4's first attack rotation, which concludes with his big almighty beam attack, the Chromatic Aberration. The reason we focus down these guys first is to simplify the fight. The Exalted 4 themselves still operate the same way that they did back in 1.0. They have a 6 attack cycle: Ruby Ray, Sapphire Ray, Topaz Ray, Emerald, Charge Up, Chromatic Aberration. Just like our first Genocide run, our strategy for these guys can remain the same. Heal after the Topaz Ray because it absolutely wrecks your health, and then just run Numbness and shoot them in the face. Chromatic Aberration did get a bit of a buff because it has this Gamma Rays status effect that's attached to it now. It reduces your healing for several turns after you cop one. We also have to hope that the Sapphire Ray, the one that steals your stamina, doesn't also put you to sleep, because that can happen and it's pretty annoying. Besides that, our strategy for the Exalted 4 goes like this. On turns 1 through 3, which is the Ruby, Sapphire, and Topaz Ray, we just attack. On turn 4, when the Emerald Ray rocks up, that's when we pop our Elixir to top our health off, because the Topaz Ray would have kicked our ass. Every 2 rotations, on turn 5, when the Exalted 4 is charging up for Chromatic Aberration, that's when we pop Numbness again. On every other round, we're firing our gun, using throwables that have status effects like Blood Clot Bombs, Fire Bombs, and the Filthy Bomb, and genuinely biding our time. This fight requires a lot of patience because if you lose track of the rotation, you're probably going to die fairly easily. It was also at this stage that I popped the Invulnerability Syringe so I could skip using an elixir for 1 rotation. That's the extent of its value here. Now this guy does have over 3000 health, so it is an extremely long fight, but you'll be surprised how much damage we've done in the time we've been chatting. No 8 times speed required for this one. Screw your trinkets, Big Eye. Bring it on. Okay, now that we're fighting God, you've got 6 turns to knock this dude's health down by 5%. He's got 8,000 health, so 5% is what, 400? Haha, did that in the first turn. Okay, when he says he's gonna make you disappear, this is when you hit him with the old meteor strike. Delusion, fantasy, go! Okay, so this last fight is basically part of the ending, so I'm just gonna let it play out. Also, because of the way that I structured this run, I named the rest of the Massacre Princess characters a really long time ago. I completely forgot what I'd done. Well, that was pretty happy. Not really the tone of things that we're going for. As a palate cleanser, here's some footage of me stalking through the halls of the apartment complex looking for anyone left alive that I could clean up. As I'm sure you could tell from the length of this video, this run took a very long time. So I'm sorry it's taken so long since I did those Genocide Run streams to finally get this out. Frank has stuffed so much content into Update 2.0 and beyond, it's pretty damn impressive. The additional bosses, the secrets, the endings, the characters, exploits, glitches, items, strategies. I've learned so much about the game trying to pull this off. I think I read both wikis front to back. I know this video was pretty nasty, and the attitude that I had throughout it was pretty nasty as well, but don't worry, if you're looking for something more positive, the next one coming up is the World Peace Run. Lollipops, rainbows, happiness, all friends, all good outcomes. It'll make you feel warm inside. So if that's the kind of thing you're into, look out for the next one. It is coming in probably like a month. This took so damn long. Also, you may have noticed that I haven't been on stream in a while, and yeah, it's because I've had so much editing to do for this video. But I've got some fun things in the works that I think will make some really great runs moving forward. I'm also dying of anticipation to see this Cheese Man item in the next patch. Oh, that's gonna be so cool. To end this run, I think it's only fair that we give Psycho Sam exactly what he deserves. Thanks everybody. I'll see you in the next one.
Cheese man, cheese man. Who keeps saying cheese man? Cheese man.